Put a finger down if you hate being told what to do. Get a chair. Let's talk. The North Wind and the Sun are having a competition. The basis of the argument is that the best amongst them is the one who can make a traveler take off his jacket, a traveler that they'd spotted. And so the North Wind goes first. He blows as hard as he can, and the harder he blows, the stronger the traveler holds onto his jacket. Then the Sun follows. The sun just shines brighter and warmer and brighter and warmer, and the traveler, affected by the temperatures, eventually decides to take off his jacket. This is a fable by Aesop, and the moral of the story is that persuasion is more effective than force. Episode 86, Getting Kicked Out of Church.
The question about exiting the church. It's funny for me. I've never seen myself as having exited. You know, but okay. So here you are. You're 5 young guys, right? You've got a particular talent, right? The question that then people began to ask: are you singers who minister, or are you ministers who sing?
I get it.
Right? And they're like, in retrospect, they're like, we're just 5 young men, Nani, right?
I get
Trying to negotiate what it means to be 19, 20, 21, trying to figure out life.
Yeah.
Right? This is a conversation that I feel it's been had. And I feel bad that musicians are still having to negotiate that today.
Yeah.
You know? I think there's too much pressure that the church is putting on people to be a particular way, you know, young musicians be a particular way, and it's like, it's people we're trying to discover where we fall and who, you know, and so guidance is important, right? But dictating a direction, I think is wrong.
I get it.
Wrong. You know, like when we showed up at Bapo, which had become our home church, right?
The place for the guidance now, that element of guidance, yes.
To come and sing at a Kesha, right? Once again, it's December 31st, and they're like, home base, you know, let's go. And we go and sing, and the leadership is there like, you can't sing because you've just come and singing, you've just been singing at Carnival. As in, like, there's members of the group who are completely disenchanted by that. They're like, okay, I'm done.
In the book Accidental Pharisees by Larry Osborne, he gives the example of 2 young men. One is Ryan and one is Connor. Ryan is very confrontational, loses his temper and his cool every time he's provoked. He says things that he'll later regret, and you get the gist. Connor, on the other hand, is a peacemaker. He pursues a win-win solution. He always has a nuanced perspective and basically a good guy. So from the outside looking in, it's easy to say that Connor is the better Christian. But when you look deeper into the situation, you realize that Ryan has grown up in a very toxic environment and he's a product of his upbringing. But ever since coming to the faith, he has matured in leaps and bounds. Connor, on the other hand, has always been like this. This is his natural personality. So in terms of growth, Connor has not grown at all. This is just who he always has been. But Ryan has grown a lot, even though he still has a long way to go. And the author concludes this part of the book by saying, that's why we cannot judge, because we do not know everything.
Then the other day, I was playing a gig at St. Andrews, and the head of music is there like, hey, you know what? We're having a music week. Let's invite all the musicians who have also had their beginnings in church, right, to come and play. Halfway through our set, these youth elders walked down the aisle and grabbed the mic, and they're like, okay, Eric's show is over.
What?
Right? Can we now have some spiritual music? Right? Sheba, she's a member, and her family's been members for a while. She actually stood up, turned around, because we're sitting in the front, and addressed the congregation, and they're like, are you going to allow this to happen? Because Sheba doesn't suffer fools gladly. Sheba doesn't take stuff lying down. You know what I'm saying? She's like, are you guys going to let this happen? Right? And so we exited, and literally half the congregation got up and left.
I'll conclude by saying two things. Show, don't tell is the most effective method of evangelism. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who's in heaven. And the second thing, the moral of the story we began with, is that persuasion is more effective than force. And underline, it's persuasion, not manipulation. Make of that what you will. So let me know, what have you gathered from this discourse?
I remember I was having a conversation with my mom, and I was like, hey man, I just don't know what to do. She said like, Cindy, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. I was like, yeah. She said, if you're singing truth, then you're singing gospel, right? So I was like, thank you.
You got your mom.
You know,
your mom is a blessing.
Let's
that's
yeah,
for
mom,
her.
thank you. And
Let's just say Kenya only would not have existed if you were only doing.
For instance, right?
Again, why I love doing this, guys like you opened up doors for guys like me. And all these other gospel musicians who may not understand the access that they're given to go to different places. And even the acceptance, because before we could get the acceptance, there's some guys who had to sort of take the fire for us. So you, Pete, Kanji, Limit X, I think you are the era who got burnt.
Yes.
And now a lot of people have freedoms that they don't even know where it came from.